Welcome to our channel. Today, we delve into the dark and eerie world of trucker horror stories. Buckle up, because these true tales are not for the faint of heart. Imagine endless stretches of asphalt, the hum of the engine your only companion. The world outside your rig disappears in a blur, except when it doesn't. Sometimes, in the dead of night, the road throws up something unexpected, something terrifying. These are the stories of the truckers who face the unknown and live to tell the tale. Get ready to hear about encounters with hitchhikers who vanish into thin air, ghostly apparitions that haunt desolate rest stops, and things that go bump in the night. And then keep bumping. It was a moonless night, the kind that swallows even your headlights. The darkness was so thick it felt like it could reach out and grab you, pulling you into an abyss of shadows. A trucker named Jack was hauling a load of steel through Nevada, his CB crackling with static. The road was desolate, with only the occasional flicker of distant headlights breaking the monotony. Jack had been driving for hours, the hum of the engine and the static of the CB radio his only companions. The silence was broken by a thump, a soft thud against the side of his rig. It was so sudden and unexpected that Jack's heart skipped a beat. He glanced at his mirrors but saw nothing unusual. Jack pulled over, his heart pounding. The sound had been too real to ignore. He needed to check it out, to make sure everything was all right. The night was eerily quiet as he stepped out of his truck. He swore he saw a figure by the side of the road, a young woman in a white dress. She seemed out of place, almost ethereal, like she didn't belong in this world. Her presence sent a chill down his spine. He stepped out, calling out into the darkness. "Hello? Are you all right?" No answer. The silence was deafening, amplifying his growing unease. He walked towards the spot where he'd seen her, the hair on the back of his neck standing on end. There was nothing there. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, as if the night itself was holding its breath. Jack searched for hours, but the hitchhiker had vanished. He combed the area, calling out repeatedly, but there was no trace of her. It was as if she had never been there at all. He climbed back into his cab, shaken to his core. The encounter had left him rattled, his mind racing with questions and doubts. Had he imagined it? Was it a trick of the light? As he pulled back onto the highway, he couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone. The cab felt colder, the shadows deeper. Every creak and groan of the truck seemed amplified, feeding his growing paranoia. He glanced in his rearview mirror and saw her, the girl in the white dress, sitting in the passenger seat. His heart leapt into his throat, his hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. Her eyes, wide and hollow, stared straight ahead. They seemed to pierce through him, seeing into his very soul. The air in the cab grew thick with an unspoken dread. Jack slammed on the brakes, throwing open the passenger door. Empty. The seat was vacant, as if she had never been there. His mind reeled, struggling to make sense of what he had just witnessed. He was never quite the same after that night, haunted by the memory of the vanishing hitchhiker. The image of her hollow eyes and the inexplicable events of that night stayed with him, a ghostly reminder of the unknown lurking in the shadows. Route 66, the Mother Road, steeped in legend and lore. This historic highway, stretching from Chicago to Santa Monica, has been the backdrop for countless tales of adventure, mystery, and the supernatural. But some legends, it seems, are rooted in chilling reality. The vast, empty stretches of this iconic road have witnessed more than just the passage of time. A seasoned trucker named Maggie had heard the stories, whispers of phantom lights dancing along the desolate stretches of the old highway. These tales were often shared among truckers during late-night stops, each recounting their own eerie encounters. She dismissed them as folklore, until one night, driving her usual route, she saw them herself. The night was unusually dark, the kind of darkness that seems to swallow the world whole. Two orbs of light hovering in the distance, growing brighter as she approached. They seemed to float just above the ground, defying the laws of physics. They pulsed with an eerie, otherworldly glow, casting long, dancing shadows on the asphalt ahead. The lights moved in a way that was almost hypnotic, drawing her in despite her growing fear. Fear gripped Maggie's heart, but she was a woman of logic, a woman of the road. She had faced countless challenges on her journeys, from treacherous weather to mechanical failures, and always found a rational explanation. She told herself it was a trick of the light, a figment of her tired mind. After all, long hours on the road can play tricks on even the most seasoned drivers. But the closer she got, the more undeniable they became. The lights were not a mere illusion. They were real, and they were getting closer with each passing second. The lights flickered, as if beckoning her closer. It was as though they had a life of their own, a purpose that she couldn't comprehend. Maggie, her breath catching in her throat, veered off the road, stopping a safe distance away. Her hands trembled as she gripped the steering wheel, her mind racing with questions and fear. She watched, transfixed, as the lights danced and swayed before finally fading into the night. It was as if they had never been there, leaving only the memory of their haunting presence. Shaken to her core, Maggie vowed never to drive that stretch of Route 66 after dark again. The experience left her with a deep sense of unease, a reminder that some mysteries are better left unexplored. The ghostly lights of Route 66 remain one of the many unexplained phenomena that continue to haunt the memories of those who dare to travel its lonely paths. Chapter 3. The Haunting at Dead Man's Curve. Every trucker knows to be wary of certain roads with a reputation. These roads are often spoken about in hushed tones, their names passed down from one driver to another like cautionary tales. Dead Man's Curve was one such road, a treacherous mountain pass notorious for fatal accidents. The road twisted and turned through the mountains, its sharp bends and steep drops making it a perilous journey even for the most experienced drivers. Legend had it that the ghosts of those who died on the curve lingered, seeking solace, or perhaps revenge. Stories of ghostly apparitions and eerie encounters were common among the truckers who dared to traverse this haunted stretch of road. One stormy night, a young trucker named Ben found himself navigating the treacherous curves of Dead Man's Curve. Ben was new to the route, having only heard the chilling tales from his fellow truckers. He had always dismissed them as mere folklore, until that fateful night. The wind howled like a banshee, and the rain lashed against his windshield, blurring his vision. The storm was relentless, and the road ahead seemed to disappear into the darkness. Ben gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles white with tension. As he rounded a particularly sharp bend, he saw her, a spectral figure in a tattered white dress, standing in the middle of the road. Her hair was matted and wet, and her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. Ben's heart raced as he tried to make sense of what he was seeing. Ben slammed on the brakes, his rig skidding dangerously close to the edge of the cliff. The tires screeched against the wet pavement, and for a moment, it felt as though the truck would go over the edge. But somehow, it came to a stop just in time. He braced himself for impact, but there was nothing. No crash, no collision, just an eerie silence that seemed to hang in the air. Ben's breath came in ragged gasps as he tried to calm his racing heart. He looked back, his heart pounding in his chest, and saw the figure standing on the side of the road, her sorrowful eyes boring into his. She seemed to be trying to communicate something, but no words came from her lips. Instead, there was a profound sadness in her gaze. Ben, shaken but unharmed, cautiously maneuvered his truck around the curve, never taking his eyes off the ghostly figure. He couldn't shake the feeling that she was trying to warn him, to tell him something important. But what? As he drove away, he could hear a faint whisper on the wind, a mournful cry that seemed to say, "Beware." The words echoed in his mind long after he had left Dead Man's Curve behind. Ben knew that he would never forget that night and the ghostly figure that had appeared to him on that haunted road. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more spine-tingling stories. Stay safe out there. And the next time you're driving late at night, remember the truckers who braved the darkness and lived to tell their tales. Keep your eyes on the road, your ears open, and be careful who you pick up. Sweet dreams.